Hey everybody, this is Joseki, bringing you my third audio commentary. This commentary is copyrighted 2007 WCReplays.com, so please don't go stealing it. Anywho, today I'm going to be covering the human versus night elf matchup on Terranistan between Nilk and, I don't know, some mouse guy. I don't even remember his name. And before I get talking too much here, get the replay loaded up and paused at the 2-minute mark. This is a rather long game, I'd say 25 minutes to 30 minutes, somewhere in that range. So make sure you have some time to spare here before you get too into it. Okay, so I guess for me this is my hardest matchup in Warcraft. For a lot of you, it's your hardest matchup, and I'd say, I don't know, like, to be totally honest with you, I sort of cry Imba in this matchup. I really think Night Elf's ridiculous. I'm gonna be straight. But I mean, as far as that being said, there are things you can do, but I think you really do have to outplay your opponent in this matchup by a lot to really be able to win. It's tough. And I mean, a lot of Night Elves will say, well, it's really tough to stop the rifle push, and not if you go a Tavern Hero. And that's rather common, considering that on maps like Terranistan, Echo Isles, you know, just any like 2-player map almost, the Night Elf can just go Tavern Hero. You can even go Dark Ranger and SV, and that won't even matter. So, with that being said, I'd say that the rifle push, which is one of the most common strategies, doesn't really work anymore, so humans have to expand a lot, and they have to do a lot of different things. Most of the time, Tier 2 armies. Today I'm going to be covering a Panda first Night Elf, and a really standard, an initially standard human player, Nilk. There is going to be some large variation in his strategy, using Griffins and Morts to counter Bear Dryad, making, like, I don't think he makes any Knights this game at all. So it is pretty interesting how he uses the strat with Tri-Hero to counter Bear Dryad. Because if you think about it, those 2 units counter Bear Dryad rather well. 5 Morts with Frag basically rapes tons of Dryads. And then, you know, magic damage versus Bears with some upgrades. It's a pretty good call. So it's reasonable and it works in Theorycraft. It is a little harder in the actual game, considering his opponent, mouse hacker Sase, does in fact go Panda. So, with all that being said, we'll get the replay unpaused in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unpause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everyone's synced and good. Okay, so he's going to be doing a standard creeping build and pattern here, where he's going to be running over with his Archmage to this top orange lab camp, and he's basically going to aggro the creeps with his Archmage, get the Archmage to cast his little purge in one of the foots, and then summon his water elemental over the 2 rogues to slash at while he kills the wizard. Very standard. There's almost no reason not to be doing this on this map. Even if you're going to be doing a tower rush, you get level 2 so fast from doing this and killing 1 apprentice wizard. And generally speaking, you're always going to be able to creep this. Maybe if you're a little slow, you'll get a creep stolen from you from Michael Blade Master or something in a different matchup. But anyway, this I found very peculiar of Sase. He actually takes his Panda and goes on the harass, which I'd really, to be totally honest with you, I mean, I'm not Sase. I mean, heaven forbid I'm not as good as him. But if I can make a commentary here, I don't really think being aggressive with the Panda is really what it's intended for at level 1. I mean, usually, to be honest, if a Night Elf does this to me with, like, if they run up and start, like, Breath of Firing and doing all this shit, and they're just taking damage on their Panda, the way I figure it, they're going to get back to their base already teching. They're going to have to use a lot of Moon Juice to heal him up and get all his mana and such. So it's going to be a little more difficult to, like, have Moonwell Juice to defend a tower push. So generally speaking, if something like this happens, I do Tower Rush. I find it really pretty efficient, considering Panda at level 1 or even level 2 is rather weak to towering. Okay, so another important thing, Nilk gets a little head start here and sends a water elemental and 5 peasants over to expand at his the mine to the right of his base. I mean, it doesn't really matter which mine you expand here. Usually I expand at the one below my base on his spawn, simply because of the fact, the way I look at it, if I need mercs, I can get mercs. And, you know, mercs in a pinch, it usually helps. You can do an okay job, like, just fending off pushes and things. Okay, so basically now Sase knows he's expanding, so he comes to harass. Very smart. Nilk bought Boots and Dust. That is basically what just kept him in the game. If he hadn't bought Boots and Dust, I guarantee you wouldn't really be doing that well right now, considering he can just mass hide archers whenever shit gets too messed up for Sase. But because he can't hide, he's forced to lose many archers, and he's forced... he's basically forced to not be able to use hide micro, which is one of the most annoying things possible. I'm sure many of you have experienced. So, as a general rule of thumb, always be ready to run and grab boots and dust as soon as it's night. It's easily the most valuable thing you can have versus a night elf player, especially in the early stages of the game. And if you're going to get one of those like almost surrounds where the hero gets away with 10 HP, having boots is going to help a lot in hunting down his hero, and it's going to help a lot in hunting down archers. So it's very invaluable that you do that. Right here, if you look in the upper left, Nilk is sending one of his weak, injured footmen to go and buy himself a goblin shredder. I think the reason Nilk's strategy works so well in this particular case, and he's going to be expanding again, FYI, so there is going to be a pretty good amount. It's a pretty long game. He's double expanding, basically, and he's not going to be able to do a double expansion unless he has a goblin shredder. So when you think about it, this strat really that he's going to do, if he's going to double expand like this, it only works on maps with shredders. And I mean, I could argue it wouldn't work on TM just because TM's kind of an elf map. That's sort of the map you tower rush on and hope it works. And if you're in a league match, you're supposed to win your first map, which should be like Echo Isles TS or Lost Temple, and then you'll lose on Twisted Meadows and then come back on Terran Stand or something like that, you know. So you can get a 2 out of 3 win. Anyway, Nilk's expansion is fully up and running, so he's doing quite well. And if you'll notice what's basically going on right now, he did creepjack Sase at this camp, and it does help a lot. Like, I think if Sase would have finished creeping this camp, he definitely would have gone for his level 3 and then come back and harass like crazy. But by doing this, he does buy a lot of time for himself to get some wood and to prepare himself to tower up versus the Night Elves Dryads. And generally speaking, you're going to be needing towers for some sort of Dryad push, just in general. If you don't make Dryads, it's horrible. I mean, if you don't make towers versus like when you expand, it's just going to be horrible. You have to. I mean, I've seen games where Todd has like pulled it off, but I mean, you have to have a really massive advantage and be very positive that nothing horrible is going to happen should you not tower your base, because most oftentimes towering's even good versus a Panda, because maybe he'll go Pit Lord second and then Zep harass your mine, and it'll get very messy very quickly. So again, always good to have towers, 3-ish, especially on a map where you're going to be buying a Goblin Shredder. It's paramount in being able to win. Okay, so still Nilk is harassing, and I find that's really nice just because like he doesn't really need to be creeping at this point. And while Sase has a level 3 Panda, he doesn't really want it to be getting too much free creeping in. If the Night Elf player, like, I mean, technically, if Nilk was just creeping himself, like a level 4 Archmage, which isn't as influential as a level 3 Panda or a level 5 Panda, and I'd much rather have a level 3 Archmage than level 3 Archmage versus level 4 Archmage versus 4 Panda, because level 5 Panda's ridiculous. So generally speaking, you don't want to do that. And as you can see from all this harassment, it did pay off. He's level 3, and he's doing very well in stopping the creeping of Sase, as well as killing a few archers, getting an Ancient of War kill, which, I mean, doesn't really mean much, but it's better than nothing, right? Also, if you'll notice, he is, with the presence of the Archmage right now at the Night Elf base, Sase isn't able to use his Tree of Life expansion. He basically, if the Archmage is there harassing him and he's trying to make this expansion, he can't creep while the Archmage is just standing there. So he's essentially forced to like stick around and fight the Archmage a bit, which I don't know, I found very interesting, just because like I think that Nilk knew, whether scouting or not, just from the units that Sase had and just from the late lores and like numerous other things, that he would be expanding. So I thought it was very smart, very intelligent of Nilk to buy time like that. Now, when the Night Elf counter expos, as you're seeing,